We started and ended our Brenta hiking trip at the parking lot Valle Sinella. On our first day we hiked to Rifugio Stopani in approximately 4 hours with breaks included. The trail is very well marked and easy to follow with an elevation gain of 900 meters or 3,000 feet. Rifugio Groste is along the way but also very close to Stopani. In the afternoon we checked our climbing equipment and did a short climb, or actually mostly hiking, to Pietra Grande along the Sentiero Vidi. This was a short 1 hour out and back hike / climb which provided good views of tomorrow's hike, Cima Groste, Madonna di Campiglio and much more. Rifugio Stopani is quite a luxurious hut compared to the other huts on the Via delle Bocchette, and we enjoyed our stay and the good food there very much. This is day 1 on our Dolomite trip in the northern Italian Alps. We're doing the Via delle Bocchette, and we left the parking lot at Valle Sinella around 8:30 and are on our way up to our first Rifugio Stopani. So this is roughly 1,000 meters, and we made maybe 200 meters so far, so we have another 2 to 3 hours ahead of us. It's a gorgeous day, and the morning, because it's mid-September, is a little bit cold but not too cold, and as the sun comes out it's usually getting a little bit warmer. So it looks like it's going to be a really nice day, and I'm looking forward to our first hut here. second day we hiked and climbed from Rifugio Stupani to Rifugio Tucket on the Sentiero or Via Ferrata Benini. This was a 10-kilometer or 6-mile hike with 800 meters or 2,700 feet of elevation gain. The Via Ferrata Benini is not too difficult and not too exposed, but the clouds, the rain, and strong winds at the end made it a bit more challenging. It took us 5 hours, and the descent to Rifugio Tucket via the Sentiero dalla Giacoma was more difficult and actually longer than I remembered. This is day 2 on our adventure in the Brenta Dolomites. We're on our way from Rifugio Stupani to Rifugio Tucket. We had some nice views in the beginning, but now it really turned cloudy, and this is what this region is actually famous for, and you get some clouds and fogs very quickly. We're supposed to get some rain in an hour, but it looks like we're getting the rain a little bit earlier. So we are maybe an hour away from our Rifugio Tucket. So far the trail is really outstanding, and the first part is a little bit of a hike, and then the Via Ferrata starts, but it's an easy Via Ferrata. So again, we are pretty close to our hut, and I'm looking forward to some nice lunch. On the next day, we originally planned to hike on the Bocchette Alte, but the weather forecast was actually not too good, which ultimately turned out to be wrong. And we did the Via Ferrata Sossat instead. The hike was approximately 9 kilometers or 5 miles with an elevation gain of 600 meters or 1900 feet. The Via Ferrata Sossat was more difficult than the day before with more exposure and more ladders. This was the first time that I did the Sossat, and I was surprised about the good views, which reminded me so much of a typical high route or Alta Via in the Dolomites. It's our third day on our trip in the Brenta Dolomites. We are at the Rifugio Alimonte, and today we hike the Via Ferrata Sosat from Rifugio Tucket to Alimonte. We originally planned to hike the Via Bocchette Alte, but the weather forecast was actually pretty bad. So we decided to do the easier Via Ferrata Sosat. And then it turned out that the weather was actually pretty nice all day long. So that gives us hope for tomorrow, because tomorrow we are going from Alimonte to Pedrotti, and that's really the crown jewel of the Via delle Bocchette. It's the Via Centrale, and this really leads you in the heart of the Brenta Dolomites. And I remember doing this 30 years ago, and it was really amazing seeing all these wonderful mountains, including Campanile Basso. And the best news is really that the weather forecast is also supposed to be really good for tomorrow. On our fourth day, we did the crown jewel of the Via delle Bocchette, the Via Ferrata Centrali. Don't make the same mistake and take the trail to the right on your way up to the Bocca del Armi, which is the beginning of the Via Ferrata. This was the only time the signs misled us and the trail ended suddenly. Take the left trail and always stay on the left of the ice field. The Ferrata was the most difficult so far, with lots of exposure right from the beginning. The views are outstanding, the traverses breathtaking, and you will get the best views of Campanile Basso from this side. The last traverse is a bit sketchy and challenging for shorter people, but otherwise the Ferrata is very unique in its design and probably one of the most scenic in the Dolomites. On our next day, we hiked and climbed on the Sentiero dell'Ideale and the Via Ferrata Brentari to the Rifugio Agostini. This turned out to be the most challenging day because the weather became really bad much earlier than all of our weather forecasts predicted it. Lots of rain and dense fog made the Via Ferrata Brentari quite adventurous, especially the long down climb on steep ladders to the Dambies Glacier moraine. GPS helped us a lot in the dense fog, and the trail signs and markings were not too helpful. On the following day, the bad weather came in full force and we were marooned. But what better hut than Rifugio Agostini to spend a recovery day? Agostini was by far the best hut on our trip, and we were almost sad to leave. The next day the weather cleared up and we could finally see the wonderful setting surrounding Rifugio Agostini. We hiked back to Rifugio Pedrotti on the much easier Sentiero Palmieri in 3.5 hours, and from there continued over the Bocca di Brento to Rifugio Brentei in another 2 hours. This was the last time we saw Campanile Basso from a lower elevation. Rifugio Brentei is an upscale mountain hut with gorgeous views of Val di Brenta Alta and the Croissant di Brenta.
Okay, the last few days were pretty exciting. We started out by doing the Centrale Ferrata, which was pretty thrilling, and maybe it took us 5 hours or something. Lots of ups and downs, but it was unbelievably beautiful. We were very lucky to be over the clouds for most of the time. Then we spent the night at Pedrotti hut, which wasn't that exciting. But the next day was quite exciting because we thought the weather was going to be good, and it ended up not being so good. And we were up on the Brentari Ferrata, which was quite thrilling in the rain and cold. And it ended on a glacier, which in the fog we had difficulty finding our way. So we were really happy when we got to the Agostini hut, which was a lovely little hut. And we were basically marooned there for 2 nights because of the storm. And it was a great place to be stuck. So highly recommended. And then today we've just decided no more Via Ferrata for right now. So we did a hike back to the Brente hut, which is a very large, very new hut. And it's very nice.
On our last day, we hiked out from Rifugio Brente to our car at Vallesinella. It was another gorgeous day, and we were all a little bit sad to leave the Brenta region. The hike out took us roughly 2 hours, was easy and mostly downhill. This is our last day, the hike out from Brentei to Vallesinella. We're all a little bit sad that we have to leave because it was such an adventure. We had everything from rain to snow to fog to Patagonian winds to sunshine. So really something special. And if you like mountains that look like towers and spires and this combination of hiking and Via Ferrata climbing, then the Brenta Dolomites are definitely the place to go.